the audience here and to you at home. This event at the Hellenic Cultural Center will be broadcast a number of times in the coming days on your TV, so watch for that. And as well, I should point out that we are being live streamed at windsorstar.com. Well, this is it, folks. This is the heart of democracy. We get to see it up close and in action today. It'll be informative and fun, at least for those of us who are actually doing the debate. And in fact, it'll be particularly fun this year because all three local ridings are considered very tight. As a matter of fact, some national party leaders and national media have been to town recently to get in on the action, something we already knew was well worth it, but I'm glad to see that the rest of Canada is finally catching up. We will have four parties today: the Conservatives, Greens, Liberals, and NDP, and in case you're wondering, that was in alphabetical order. And we'll also have three local ridings in this order: Essex, Windsor-Tecumseh, and Windsor-West. The candidates agreed to the rules in advance. The candidates will have 1 minute for opening statements. Then I will ask each riding a series of questions for which the candidates will have 1 minute to respond. To be as fair as possible, I'll rotate who starts the questions, and then of course the candidates will have 1 minute for closing statements. The position on the podium was chosen by draw in advance. A timekeeper will indicate when the candidates have 15 seconds left and when their time is up, at which point I will pounce all over them. I would like to ask you to save your applause for the end, when you can cheer wildly. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to do so because I think it's going to be well worth it. And now, without further ado, let's get ready to rumble. We start the debate with the riding of Essex. I'd like to welcome the candidates: Jennifer Alderson, Green; Chris Lewis, Progressive Conservative; Audrey Festeriga, Liberal; and Tracy Ramsey, NDP. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and good luck. You now have a chance to provide a 1 minute opening statement, starting with Jennifer Alderson.
Thank you so much for having me here today. Happy that the Greens were included in this debate. That's great. My name is Jennifer Alderson, and I represent the Green Party for the riding of Essex. I am a wife, mother, volunteer, concerned citizen, and I spend a lot of time helping the community. I believe that the hardest working candidate, the most well-rounded candidate, from the party with the most balanced budget and best, most comprehensive platform, is the person who deserves your vote. And I believe I am that person. In the last election, an average of $90,000 was spent from each of the major parties in the election, with the NDP spending over $100,000 for campaign expenditures. The Liberals and Conservatives were not far behind that. I'm not asking for your hard-earned money. I'm asking for your vote, your confidence, trust, and I know that we can do better as a county and as a country. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Lewis.
Well, thank you very much. For the last year and a half, I have been on a fact-finding mission. A mission that has brought our team to over 25,000 doors, farms, union tables, small businesses, and many coffee shops. My vision was to listen to the grassroots concerns, suggestions, and local leaders to better understand the challenges that each sector faces. As a businessman, I know it is vital to listen to and understand the issues that people are facing before coming up with a solution. I also know that although good intentions are great, results are what matter most. Families are getting by, but they're simply not getting ahead. I am excited to take what I have learned during this time meeting with residents of Essex and applying my knowledge and skills and ability to get the job done to make life more affordable for everyone. This election matters, and I am ready to deliver results for Essex.
Thank you, Audrey Festeriga.
Thank you to Craig and the Chamber for inviting us here today, and to the fellow panelists, and hello to those of you who are at home watching. As Chamber members, you know that you need to invest in your company and in your employees to make your business grow. Communities are no different. It's critical to invest in our future. That's what the Liberal government is doing, and our country is thriving. Look at our low unemployment and our strong economy. We're leading the G7 in economic growth. We can't afford to lose that momentum. We can't cut our way to prosperity, as Stephen Harper and Andrew Scheer would have us believe. And we can't rely on the NDP to be a rational and effective voice for us in Ottawa. In fact, I was astounded just recently to hear Tracy Ramsey and Jagmeet Singh talk about tearing up NAFTA. As a first-generation Canadian, I come from a family of modest means. I'm a farm girl and a lawyer. I'm no stranger to hard work. I've walked a mile in many of your shoes. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work on behalf of the residents of Essex, and I'd like to take this opportunity to ask for your vote.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Tracy Ramsey.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the Chamber for sponsoring this debate today. In 2015, you put your confidence in me to bring our voice to Ottawa. I took off my work boots and went right into the House of Commons, where I hit the ground running for the people of Essex, and I haven't stopped since. I know our riding. For the past 4 years, I've been immersed in the struggles, stories, and victories of everyone here. I have been a strong national voice on issues that matter to us: manufacturing jobs, farmers, seniors, housing, pharmacare, and fair trade. I know that people are struggling. I hear it at the door every day. People are seeing costs go up, but their wages or fixed incomes stay the same. This election, New Democrats are fighting for the issues that matter to you: the economy that works for us all, good jobs, secure pensions, fair taxation, and a climate plan that treats the crisis we're in seriously.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now ask a few questions, starting with Jennifer Alderson. Should the tax burden be reduced, and why or why not, and if so, how?
Yes, the tax burden should be reduced. There's many ways to do this. One being corporate taxes. We have many companies that are representing or are working within this country, and they're not paying their fair share of the taxes. We also have the very wealthy who are not paying their share of taxes. There's many loopholes in the tax policy right now which need to be addressed so that the wealthy are paying taxes, corporations are paying taxes, and that the middle and lower class citizens are able to afford a healthy, happy lifestyle.
Thank you, Chris Lewis.
Well, thank you very much. So obviously, it really needs to be reduced. As a business person, and as a father, I realize the struggles that they all face all day, every day. That's why I'm very excited the conservative message of the universal tax cut. The universal tax cut will save the average Canadian family over $850 per year on their income taxes after a conservative government reduces the rate of the lowest income tax bracket. An individual taxpayer can save as much as $440 a year. You and your family deserve better, and it's time for you to get ahead. And that's why we're going to scrap the Trudeau carbon tax. That's why we're going to take GST off of home heating costs, saving your family $107 a year. And that's why we're going to make public transit passes more affordable. For some, that's $1,000 back in your pocket.
Thank you, Audrey. Festeriga.
In the 2015 election, Canadians had a choice between growth and austerity. Canadians chose growth, and that's exactly what they got. Most middle-class families are $2,000 better off than under the previous government, when you factor in the tax cut and the Canada Child Benefit. We did that by raising taxes on the wealthiest 1%. There are no boutique tax credits to millionaire families. We're giving small businesses an opportunity to grow and succeed by lowering the small business tax from 11% in 2015 to 9%. It's the lowest small business tax rate in the G7. And Canadian families now have one of the lowest effective tax rates in the G7. And once we're re-elected, the federal tax will be reduced to zero on the first $15,000 of earned income. Canadian businesses are more competitive and families have more money in their pockets to spend. We plan to halve taxes to net zero green industries, cut taxes on maternity benefits, and will raise the federal tax exemption.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Tracy Ramsey.
Our tax system is disproportionately hard on small businesses and families and Canadians. We need a fair tax system in our country. Those with the very most in our country, $20 million or more, can afford to pay an extra 1%. That would generate $70 billion that could go into services that are desperately needed in our communities. We need to close the stock option tax loopholes that exist, and we need to stop the offshoring of money. We are losing tens of billions of dollars every single year going out of our country because we, quite frankly, aren't willing to have the courage to stop that from happening. It's time that we stand up and we look at the impact on families and make sure that those who have the most in our country are paying more. This will fund all of the services that are necessary, our health care, the pharmacare plan that we're talking about. We can take care of each other, but it's about tax fairness, and we have a tax system that is over 100 years old that needs to be done from top to bottom.
Thank you very much. The next question starts with Chris Lewis. What are your thoughts on climate change and what should be done about it, if anything?
Well, thank you. So, I live on a farm. I have a business far up north. I have 3 children. They're 20, 18, and 16. I understand how vital, incredibly vital, climate is to us. I spend quite a bit of time on Lake Erie fishing. I see the algae blooms. I understand that this is, that climate change, quite frankly, is something so much larger than just Canada, but we can begin to do it right here. What our party is going to do is take a very science-based approach to climate change. But we're going to come up with results right away. We're going to ensure that we're actually making progress going forward. And on another scale, which is probably the biggest scale, at least in our party's opinion, is it's vital to bring this worldwide. We have to get China involved. We have to get Brazil involved. If everybody's pulling the same direction, we're going to leave a much better legacy for our children going forward. We have a plan and we're proud of it.
Thank you so much. Audrey Festeriga.
There's no perfect answer to putting a price on pollution. The green energy rebate ensures that most Canadians will get back more than they actually pay out. Andrew Scheer and Chris Lewis do not have a plan of action. They fearmonger about the cost of our plan to Canadians rather than coming up with real solutions. We are seeing the effects of climate change right here in our weather, the once-in-a-100-year flooding that's happening far too often that's affected homes and businesses. We have a plan for that. I have personally advocated for local shovel-ready projects to be considered by our government. Liberals have done more on climate change than any government in history, and there's still much more to be done. We have to protect our Great Lakes, our homes, and our infrastructure. The NDP proposed freshwater legislation, but they couldn't get it done. If you've been listening to Greta Thunberg, or scientists for that matter, the window to act is closing. Liberals are stepping up, not
Thank you.
stepping back.
Tracy Ramsey.
We can't afford inaction, and Liberals and Conservatives have the exact same targets, and those targets are too weak to get us to where we need to go. And when we start to move towards the green economy, we're talking about jobs and opportunities. There's innovation here that can spur the jobs of the future. We need to retrain people into those jobs. We're a manufacturing giant down here in southwestern Ontario, and we should be at the forefront of those manufacturing opportunities for the green economy. We can create jobs in our country that are sustainable and for the future. We need to declare a climate emergency. We had a rally last week down in Charles Clark Square that was filled with young people who are demanding action on the stage here in Canada. We can and we should act. We have an ambitious and bold climate plan that includes jobs and a just transition, and also talking about the local impacts of flooding in our communities. This has devastated folks in Essex who are along the water and the shore, and we need to act to make sure that the infrastructure is in place so that they can sustain the climate change that we're experiencing here.
Thank you so much. Jennifer Alderson.
So the Green Party, as I'm sure many of you know, has stood by the environment, always had policy in terms of climate change since our foundation in 1983. We have based all of our policies around not only helping the economy, but helping the environment, and the two going hand in hand. The Greens have always had ethics and integrity in their climate policies. Unfortunately, the Conservatives choose to ignore the science behind climate change, the reports that have recently come out. The Liberals don't always keep up on their promises with climate change. When they agree to pipelines, they're only endangering many precious areas we have in Canada. Then we have, the NDP definitely have many good policies that they've taken from the Greens in many ways. However, some of the issues here are they're still for fracking, which can be a very dangerous process.
Thank you very much. The next question begins with Audrey Festeriga. How will you help farmers?
Agriculture is very, very important to this economic area. I'm proud to say that I am a farmer myself. My brother, my mom, and I still work the family farm. Liberals have supported the cannabis industry, and that's a certain technology, that's a certain aspect of farming that I support. We acknowledge that we're taking this step at this time. We're leading the world in this with regulation and with production. We especially want to make sure that individual rights and people's ability to enjoy their property aren't also hindered by this. But there's more to that, to farming than just that. There's also the whole greenhouse industry. Greenhouse industry is important. It's a carbon sink and is a huge economic driver in our region. We also need to look at risk management programs.
Thank you. Tracy Ramsey.
I am so proud to represent a riding that's so rich in agricultural history and the current farming practices that exist. Our farmers need support from the federal government, and it has been severely lacking. And we don't have to look too far, but to the recent negotiated trade agreements that have sold our supply management farms down the river by death by 1,000 cuts. The first thing we can do is make sure that they're properly compensated, and we commit to never negotiating trade agreements where we sacrifice our family farms and the health of our food. We're talking about food and a public health issue when we talk about what we're eating, and nothing could be more important. Our farmers need high-speed broadband. They need internet access. They're very technologically advanced. There's drones out on all the farms, the no-till, everything that they're using. They need that support in rural ridings. We also need to improve the training opportunities for farm families. We have a plan to allow the transfer of the family farm or family business without penalization. That's something that will keep the next generation of farmers strong in Essex County, and that's something we need to achieve.
Jennifer Alderson.
Agriculture, obviously a big area, as everyone else has mentioned here, a big topic in the Essex riding, being that we have such a large agricultural industry, whether it be in the fields, in the barns, in the greenhouses. The green economy would mean sustainable farming. The green economy would mean training and subsidy for farmers who are able to be more sustainable, meaning less pesticide, herbicide use, less use of water. More sustainable methods would not only help the economy, but also help our environment as a whole. Through the greenhouses and through growing cannabis, many of which can be done in a more sustainable way. The Greens also support growing cannabis in the open air as well, a more sustainable method as opposed to the greenhouse growth that is going on right now.
Thank you, Chris Lewis.
Thank you very much. So being a bona fide farmer myself, I understand the struggles. I realize that when we get rained on way too much in the spring, we can't get onto our fields. And when it's too dry in the summertime, Lord knows we need that water desperately, and then we get rained on again in the fall. If there's one thing that we can sustain, that would be the costs of farming. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the carbon tax, because quite frankly, all that does is add to the cost, be it fertilizer, be it diesel fuel, be it import taxes on our farming equipment. That's the number one thing we're going to do to help sustain or to help our farmers. And the second thing we're going to do is actually have good foreign policy relations across the world, so we don't stop the likes of canola and the likes of dairy products from being exported from this great place we call Canada.
Thank you so much. This next question starts with Tracy Ramsey. What is your party's stance on banning handguns and assault rifles in Canada, and would you push for even more gun control?
So representing a rural riding, the ability of farmers and hunters to use their guns for traditional means is very important to me. The other day I was at the door of someone who, had his garage filled with all of his hunting, his gear, and he was talking about the importance of being able to fill his freezer every year. And I worked with folks on the line at Ford who did the same thing. So we want to protect rural communities, we want to protect farmers, and we want to protect hunters. When we look at cities, there's a significant challenge that's happening in cities like Toronto and Vancouver. Those cities have asked for the ability as a municipality to ban certain guns. And they are facing gang issues and crime and issues around addictions that, quite frankly, we aren't, thankfully, down here in our region. So we would absolutely give municipalities the ability to enforce that so that they can address the crime and the rise of gun violence inside their cities. And this protects women, this protects marginalized communities. This ensures that young people that are living in those cities and in those neighborhoods are protected as well. So we certainly support that.
Jennifer Alderson.
So much like Tracy has mentioned, guns are obviously a part of our culture in terms of hunting. Being in this area and many people who live in more northern regions, using hunting as a means of sustainability, a means to, much like Tracy said, fill your freezer. However, there needs to be more regulations on handguns, assault weapons, weapons that are not used for hunting by any means, but weapons that are used in gang violence, used within communities that are plagued by poverty in many ways. So these weapons need to be banned. They need to not be available to anyone of any age group and any standing. However, we do need to maintain that hunting is, a good means for people, and there's no reason that hunting weapons should not be available. However, there should be regulations to who can purchase them and hold a license for them as well.
Chris Lewis.
Well, thank you. This one is so near and dear to my heart, of course. I'm a hunter, and I'm proud to be a hunter. And I'm also a conservationist. And I'm also somebody that understands that there's something more to hunting than just shooting. And that something more to hunting is the heritage, the actual heritage, the right that comes along with being a Canadian. And at the end of the day, it is not the law-abiding gun owners that are causing these crimes. It is absolutely not. And the new regulations that I believe are being proposed from the Liberals are that it would give the power to a municipality to restrict and or abandon handguns. So if you're telling me that somebody from the town of Kingsville can tell me that they can come into my place and take away my handguns and or handgun, when I have done absolutely nothing wrong, I stand and will always stand with firearm owners. Always.
Thank you so much. Audrey Festorelli.
So I too have been knocking on doors and chatting with many different people in the riding, and on the day that the Liberals announced their new gun reform platform, I talked to one gentleman who was the owner of an AK-15, and he was very upset. He said, I use these rifles for sport, and we go in a contained area to shoot them. And he recognized that, for the most part, Canadian communities are safe, peaceful places to live and work and play. But that there are certain instances where we have to move forward and keep Canadians safe today. So the Liberals have proposed a ban on assault rifles in order to crack down on gun crime in the major cities. Unlike the Conservatives, who want to weaken Canada's gun laws, we want to make them stronger.
Thank you. The next question begins with Jennifer Alderson. What will you do for seniors?
We are in a situation where we have an aging population. Many of us are not only caring for our children, but also caring for our parents. Senior health is health for our whole community. We need to offer the support seniors need through an increased pension program nationally. We also need to be able to offer them the health care that they require. A lot of this ties into mental health issues as well. I have parents, a father who's suffering from mental health and has for many years. This is only getting worse for him as he's aging. We need to be able to offer the support and end the stigma with mental health, as well as be able to assist seniors so they can enjoy the rest of their lives in a healthy and happy way within their homes for as long as possible, having the support they can to stay within their homes.
Thank you so much, Chris Lewis.
Well, thank you. And so over the 25,000 doors that our team has knocked, I hear it more and more all the time. They say thank you so much for thinking about future generations, but don't forget about us. And I have heeded that message very loud. Andrew Scheer and our Conservatives have a plan to make life more affordable for our seniors. We're going to scrap the carbon tax. We're going to take GST off of home heating. We're going to provide a universal tax cut, and we're going to leave more money in their pockets so they can easily do things like visiting their grandkids and enjoying a trip away from home. We will have more to say in policy announcements coming here very shortly. Nonetheless, the people that I have met, that I have spoke to, are very excited about the policy announcements that have come out, and they're very much ready for an Andrew Scheer government.
Thank you so much, Audrey Festeriga.
The issue of seniors is very near and dear to me. I've spent 17 years working in long-term care. And from that experience, I know that seniors care about financial security, having a livable retirement income. They're concerned about health care, including access to medication in hospitals, and staying connected to their communities. To help seniors, we've increased the guaranteed income supplement earnings exemption so that they get to keep more of their hard-earned income. We're increasing old age security when a senior turns 75, and we're enhancing the survivor's benefit, providing up to $2,000 more in their pocket. We've also increased affordable housing support, and we're also looking to increase the federal tax exemption, which will help reduce taxes for seniors. People are feeling the effects of the Ontario Doug Ford government cuts in schools and hospitals, and seniors are afraid. We will work with the provinces to implement these along with the Universal Pharmacare strategy.
Thank you so much, Tracy Ramsey.
There's so much that we can do to support seniors in our community. The first thing is housing. When you don't have a roof over your head, everything else in your life starts to fall behind. Seniors are living in precarious housing situations throughout all of Essex. Some of them are experiencing homelessness and ending up in shelters in the city because they quite honestly can't afford the rent, or they can't find a place that exists out in Essex. So affordable housing is key. We've announced a rental subsidy that we believe will help elevate and lift seniors out of poverty. Of course, pension protection. Sears workers in our region who lost their jobs this last year are receiving pennies on the dollar because bankruptcy protections do not have workers at the top of the list. This is a deferred wage. A pension is not something that's a gift from a company. It's something that workers have paid into so that when they retire, they can have dignity. And when that is stripped from them, it's very difficult for them to piece their life back together and be able to afford the necessities. Pharmacare. Pharmacare is key. I can't tell you how many seniors in our region can't afford their medication, and we have a plan where you will use your health card, not your credit card.
Thank you so much. And the last question begins with Chris Lewis. How do you feel about legal marijuana, and what would you change about current cannabis laws, if anything?
Well, Conservatives have long said that we'll be realistic with this reality of legalized marijuana. We do not intend to go back and make marijuana illegal again. We will, however, monitor the consequences of legalization and make changes where necessary to protect Canadians. We will work with the provinces, police, and other experts to fix the consequences of the Liberals' rushed marijuana legalization.
Thank you, Audrey Festeriga.
As I said earlier, I support the cannabis industry, but acknowledge that we're taking this one step at a time because we are leading the world and more regulations may be required. We especially want to make sure that we get it right and that individuals' rights are also recognized. But legalizing cannabis has injected new opportunities into the local greenhouse industry, and that's good for jobs and for the regional economic outlook. I had a young fellow come into my office. He was so excited. He's never had such a good job as the job that he has in the cannabis industry. And that's because this industry is not just providing entry-level jobs, it's spurring high-tech innovation and providing well-paying jobs for our communities. It's displacing the illegal market while strictly regulating quality to protect people's health and keep cannabis out of the hands of youth. We acknowledge that we're going to have to monitor social issues that may come, but the agri-food industry is a powerhouse in our region.
Thank you. Excuse me, Tracy Ramsey.
Yeah, it's no surprise that in Essex we grow things and we do it well. So we are certainly one of the top locations for marijuana growing, for opportunities in the industry. The problem we have is that the Liberals put in arbitrary dates without a comprehensive plan. So they never did the work that would have been created a plan that was more sustainable than what we have right now. We need an appropriate model. You know, we saw Doug Ford bungle this so badly in Ontario that we lost $43 million in the first year when there could have been opportunities. I don't know how it's possible that this burgeoning industry loses money within the first year. We need a balanced approach that looks at all sides and brings a model for consumers, growth in the industry, and provides returns that benefit our communities. We have to have a balance on the socioeconomic side. We have to talk about addiction supports. But honestly, it's that balanced approach that would make such a huge difference. The Liberals heard from a task force. We had so many new Democrat amendments that we made to this legislation that would have improved across the board, and unfortunately they did not listen.
Thanks so much, Jennifer Alderson.
So the cannabis industry has opened up many jobs in the region. There's no denying this. However, there could be a way to manage the cannabis industry way different than the Liberals have approved everything without enough of a policy in place ahead of time. Unfortunately, the use of cannabis by illegal means is still about 38% and is not dropped. We need to make it so cannabis is competitive pricing on a federal level, so we're not competing with the black market, which is still obviously an issue, which ties into crime and other concerns. We also need to make sure that cannabis can be grown outdoors in a more sustainable means, obviously in a secured environment. There's no reason this can't happen. The way that cannabis is grown indoors right now is not the most sustainable way. So cannabis can be an increased industry. We just need to do it in a more sustainable, affordable means.
Thank you very much. We now end with closing statements, beginning with Audrey Vestorica.
So when I'm at the doors, I'm telling you that people are wavering on their support for the NDP. People are tired of having no say in the government. They want change. They want effective representation in Ottawa. They're also telling me that the progressive conservatives of the past are not the conservatives of today. They're seeing that we have issues that require a firm leadership, and they're really appreciating the Liberal policies. Climate is absolutely key critical. Retrofitting homes isn't just enough to solve the problem. We have to deal with carbon emissions. And the Liberals are committed to ending oil and gas subsidies, and we're looking at exporting technology that doesn't take responsibility for the challenges. Liberal spending is an investment in the future. I ask for your support on October 21st.
Thank you, Tracy Rand.
This election is about who you can trust to fight for you and work hard on the issues that matter to the people in Essex. I have been honored to represent this riding. I've worked with everyone to make our communities better. I know the job. I've been competent, capable, and focused on policies that matter to our communities. I have endorsements from leaders in the business community like Barry Zuckelman and Tony Azar, alongside labor leaders like Jerry Dias and Brian Hogan, because I have a proven track record of standing up for working people, businesses, and the jobs in our community. I have been a strong voice in Ottawa, ensuring we are heard on the national stage. I believe that we can have an economy that supports strong businesses, creates good jobs, and lifts everyone up. So the question is clear: who is going to fight for you? I am. From day one, I have fought with everything I have for the people of Essex. I am committed to our riding, and I'm ready to continue our work together when you re-elect me this October and send me back to Ottawa as your Member of Parliament.
Thank you, Jennifer Alderson.
So thank you so much for having the Green candidates here. It was a pleasure. Really appreciate it. I'd like to finish by asking the residents of Essex riding for their vote on October 21st. We can make history. We can make positive change. I'd like to get a vote from those who feel not enough is being done with the environment, the economy, those who feel their voice isn't being heard, the young people who are afraid for the future of our earth. Everyone who's concerned about the future of our county, our country, and our planet, please vote Green on October 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Lewis.
The people of Essex have a unique opportunity this election. An opportunity to elect a representative that will be able to work directly with both the federal and provincial governments. to bring much-needed infrastructure dollars right here to Essex. You will recall, not long ago, that having a voice at the governing table meant an over $1 billion investment to this region. Money that will only be realized if you send a representative to Ottawa that will sit at the governing table. I am excited to work hard to bring results back to Essex for each and every business sector, family, workforce member, and senior. As a father of 3, I am determined to leave a legacy for future generations, a clean environment, and ultimately a place where our children can flourish and be proud to call Essex their home. With that, I am respectfully asking that you do not miss this opportunity and vote for me, Chris Lewis, on October 21st to help me leave the world a better place than I found it. Thank you.
And thank you all for sharing your vision. As the Essex candidates leave the stage, I'd like to ask the Windsor Tecumseh candidates to come up. And I would also now like to turn to your TV's John Fairley and Chris Vanderbilt.